Hi guys. I thought I'd go ahead or we would go ahead and finish the egg lab today. When I begin it, it's going to be a review of day one, but let's get started on that. So on day one, um, you should have read and we talked about how um, took a regular egg, HEB, put it in vinegar, and left it for 24 hours. And I mentioned that vinegar is a weak acid and it acts on the shell of the egg and it dissolves it. And that's a good thing. We don't want the shell. Okay? We want to get rid of it. So this works really well for this experiment. So what we ended up with were these naked eggs where it is just the membrane of the egg. And you can see how much bigger it got too when you compare it to the original size egg. And you should have watched the movie as well. But you can always go back on the slideshow and watch it. And then you were supposed to have gone to Schoology and taken the 2-question quiz. One thing I want to caution you is once you're in any one of these test or quiz in Schoology, you can't leave. You can't hop to maybe go back and look at the notes. What you have to do is open another Schoology tab and have them both open, because once you leave the quiz, it'll say, "Oh, you're done. Okay, that's it," and it'll give you your grade. So here's what happened on day two. On day two, we took that really big fat egg that had sat in the vinegar and lost its shell, but it also got really big. So um, once we got rid of the shell, that allowed the water. Remember, I told you that vinegar, it's mostly water. Okay, it smells when you buy a jar of vinegar, it's mostly water. So there's lots of water in the vinegar. And what happened is that that water went into the egg, okay? And it went through this coating that we call a membrane. And that's all a membrane is. It's the coating over something. So it was real big and fat. We took it and we put it in Karo syrup. You can buy this at HEB. We put it in the beaker with the Karo syrup, and after 24 hours, oh my God, it kind of like totally got wrinkled up. And you can see this is Misobi's actual egg. It became completely deflated. All the water went somewhere. Okay, where the water went was in this beaker. Okay, and if you take a picture of this beaker sideways, you'll see that there's a bunch of corn syrup at the bottom, and then there's another layer of water, and it's the water that used to be in the egg. So again, on day two, hopefully you watched the movie. On day two, we took the big fat egg that had been in the vinegar. We put it in corn syrup, and this is what it looked like. This is how it all started with the shell. Make sure you watch this video of Misobi performing um, part of the lab. And so day three, we then took that super shriveled up egg that we put in the corn syrup. So we started with normal egg and put it in vinegar. We got rid of the um, uh, eggshell and it got real big. We put it in corn syrup and it got all shriveled up and pruny. Okay, and you can see we started it with this one that looked kind of normal and put it in the corn syrup and shriveled up. And then the third day, we put it in just water, pure water. Okay, and this is what happens after. This is the same egg that was all shriveled up, and you can see he's all nice and plump again. So we started with the regular egg. We put it in vinegar, got the the shell off of it, and it was just left with the membrane. Um, that was a vinegar bath, and again, vinegar's lots of water in it. That water entered the egg. Then we took that big fat egg and put it in corn syrup. You can see it got totally shriveled up. because there's hardly any water in corn syrup. So the water that was in the egg, he moved out into the corn syrup. Then on the third day, the shriveled up egg was put overnight in just regular water, and it got all full and plump again, even bigger than it had been before. Make sure you watch this video down here as well. Okay, so what is it that's happening? So it all has to do with the way water moves. So again, vinegar has lots of water in it, okay, lots of water molecules, but the egg has less water. And so once the hard shell is gone, that water was able to go in through that skin or that covering. It's called the membrane. And the membrane allows some uh, um, objects to go into it, but not others. Well, water molecules are really, really small. So water molecule was able to go in there because there was hardly any water. And water wants to move somewhere where it's not so crowded. So it went from being really crowded in the vinegar into the egg where it wasn't so crowded. So the egg got real plump and full. The next day, so we dropped the egg into corn syrup, and corn syrup doesn't hardly have any water. That's why it's so thick and stuff. And so the egg was full of water. Well, it's really crowded with water. So the water said, we're out of here. And it left the egg and went into the corn syrup. Okay, so it went from there being really crowded where there was lots of water in the fat egg to that water moving out to the corn syrup. And then you end up with a shriveled up little egg. Took that shriveled up little egg and put it back into this time just pure water, and the egg plumped right up again. Why? Because, well, the shriveled up egg didn't have any water, and there was lots of water in pure water. So the water moved back. There was space here. So the water moved back into the egg, and it ends up really even bigger than it was before. But again, in each one of these cases, we have water moving in and out of the egg, and it has to go through this covering, this membrane. And that membrane protects the cell, the egg, or whatever from things that shouldn't go in there. And it allows things that should go in there, like oxygen. Those are really little molecules. They can go in there whenever they want. Carbon dioxide, which is a waste, can leave whenever it wants. Water is small. It can go in whenever it wants. And it would make sense, right? Those are two necessary things, water and oxygen. You don't want to have in your body where like, oh, no, we're going to let that water in or let that oxygen in. You want water and oxygen to come in whenever it can. Okay, so there are going to be 4 questions in Schoology that you need to answer, and you can redo this lab yourself just by some vinegar, some corn syrup, soak it first in vinegar, let the shell go away, water will go in it, and it get big and fat. Then take it, put it in corn syrup, and then it'll shrivel up. All the water will go away through that membrane. And then the third day, you will put it in just pure water again. And this time, it looks really cool if you put food down and you can see it get filled again with colored water. Alrighty, if you have any questions, let me know. And sorry about the dog barking. Bye, guys.